So what we need to do is, as I was looking at grading and thinking about the Check My Progress yesterday, I realized we need more practice with area models. With you guys actually using your steps. Because again, remember what I said yesterday. Who remembers what I said yesterday about anchor charts? The more you read them, what happens? Michaela? The more you memorize them without even realizing it. The more you read something, if you read something over and over and over and over again, your brain can't help but to memorize it. You don't even realize that you're memorizing it. So what we're going to do today is we have these 12 problems. We're going to do the first 2 together. The next 10 you'll do on your own. That'll be your independent practice. And you are going to use your steps every single time. You are going to read those steps. Step 1 and do it. Read step 2 and do it. Read step 3 and do it. Read step 4 and do it. Read step 5 and do it. Read step 6 and do it. Read step 7 and do it. Then go to the next problem and repeat the process. Now, I can't be in your brain forcing you to do this. But if you don't, is that a good idea? Is that a smart idea on your part? No. This is your chance to take a whole math class to do what you should be doing at home, studying. So make sure you're using it wisely. Ethan, please scoot your chair. So, let's do A together. Now this says rewrite each problem vertically and solve. Cross out rewrite each problem vertically and leave solve. And write use area models to, and then solve stays. So instead of rewriting each problem vertically and solving, we are using area models to solve. Those are the new directions. Because it's really hard to find an area model worksheet that doesn't already have the boxes for you. And I want you to start from the very first step. So what you're going to do is in the grid, on this paper, that's where you'll do your area models. Make sure that they're small enough so that you can fit them, but large enough so you can still read. I will model the exact size that you can be doing on your own. On your separate sheet of paper, you will be doing the addition because there will be quite a few of these where you will have to do some regrouping. So you're going to have to set it up and down. So, bless you. Some of you can fit both of them, but a lot of you can't. So that means none of us are going to fit both of them. Do you understand? Does anybody get to do the models and their addition inside the grid on the paper I gave you? Class?
No.
No. Zadie, do you get to do that?
No.
Michaela, do you get to do that?
No.
Mason, do you get to do that? Cullen, do you get to do that?
No.
Carla, do you get to do that?
No.
Smith, do you get to do that?
No.
Ethan, do you get to do that?
No.
Kingston, do you get to do that? Aaron, do you get to do that? Victoria, do you get to do that? Does Zari get to do that when she watches this later?
No.
No. Do I get to do that when I'm doing it up here?
No.
No. So let's start with A. 37 times 4. Let's model what I'm going to do. Okay, step 1. Draw a large rectangle. Oops, I need to make sure. So notice how I realized I messed up because I did not give myself any room on the side to write my factors. So I'm going to move it over. I don't really need any room on this side or on the bottom. Well, actually I do need a little room on the bottom because even though I'm not doing my addition down here, I'm going to write my addition problem down there. And you'll see what I mean. Yes?
What do we write at the top of our sheet of paper?
What do you mean?
The blank.
Oh, just your name, number, and date. On top of the blank sheet of paper, you can write your name, number, and date, and then
Write a letter.
IP.
Problem. Do you write letter for the problem?
Yeah, you'll write, but just for right now, at the top of your clean sheet of paper, write your name, number, and date, and then IP for independent practice. Everybody understand? Name on the top of your extra sheet of paper, make sure the holes are on the left, not the right. Write your name, number, and date, and then IP for independent practice. And then let's go back to A. Yes, quickly, please. No, you will not draw the models, and also we are not there yet, so I don't know why you've done that second step yet. We've only done step 1. Okay, step 1, draw a large rectangle. Done. Step 2, split the rectangle into 2 pieces, with the larger piece on the left and the smaller piece on the right. But I still need to make sure that I give myself space because I have to write a problem in each one, right? So let's make it so they're 2 different sizes, but I'm still giving myself space. That means you might have to write small. So some of you that write really, really large, well, you have to start practice writing small. Ethan, make sure that you're following along and following step by step. Scoot your chair. Okay, so there's step 2. Step 3. Write the smaller factor on the short side on the left. So I have 37 times 4. My smaller factor is 4. So I wrote it on the short side on the left. The steps are a little out of order, but they still work. Okay, step 4. I have to take my larger factor and break it into expanded form. 37 in expanded form is 30 plus 7. So I'm going to take my tens, which is 30, and write it above the larger side of my rectangle. I'm going to take my ones, which are 7, and write them above the smaller side of my rectangle. And then I'm going to put my plus sign right above the split. I hope you guys are doing this with me, not working ahead, because I'm modeling exactly how to do these problems. And some of you just want to go way too fast, and it really shows in your grades when you care more about finishing than actually learning the material. Okay, so there's step 4. Step 5. Multiply the factor on the short side by the tens. The tens are on top of the larger side. So that means we're taking our small factor, 4, and we're multiplying it by our tens, which is 30. And now we can just use basic facts and patterns. The basic fact is 4 times 3, which equals 12. There is 1 0 at the end of my factors. So I'm going to move 1 0 to the end of my product. So that means the partial product, the product for my tens, is 120. Ethan, make sure you're following along. Have you done this yet? Come on. Remember, going back and copying it rather than doing it with me, you don't necessarily know why you're copying it because you weren't listening. So make sure you're doing it with me instead of just realizing, oh my gosh, I forgot, let me go back and copy it. Because then you don't know why. You're just copying something. Okay, step 6. Multiply the factor on the short side by the ones, which is the number above the small side. So that means I'm taking my factor on the short side, 4, and I'm multiplying it by my ones, which is 7. 4 times 7 is a basic fact. It equals 28. So the product for my tens is 120. The product for my ones is 28. I know I'm not done yet because those are just my partial products. To get the actual product, I have to add the partial product. So I'm going to be doing 120 plus 28. Now, even with my small, neat handwriting, can I fit my addition here in this box? Do I have room to fit my addition in this box? No. So now I'm going to my separate sheet of paper, which you have labeled as, let's see, I have this, but it's kind of hard to see. But I don't think, you guys don't really need to see. You just need to see kind of where. So here's my separate sheet of paper. I have my name. My number. And the date. And then IP to show that this is my independent practice. And now on my first or second line, depending on how much space you might have taken here, I'm going to write, instead of number 1, I'm going to write A on the left side of the pink line. Because remember, when I'm checking your work, I check your extra sheet of paper, so you need to make sure to number it so that I can find the work for each problem. Now, I know I have to add 120 plus 28, so I'm going to write it up and down vertically, 120 plus 28. I'm making sure to line up my 1s with my 1s, my 10s with my 10s, and if I had 100 in both numbers, I would line up my hundreds. Is everybody with me so far? Now I'm going to add. 0 plus 8 is 8. 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus nothing is 1. Which means that 37 times 4 is 148. Is everybody with me? Yes, Colin.
By the way, your number's 12.
I think, has it been 12 this whole year? Oh, I thought it was 13. Whoops.
Well, now it's 12. Because this year.
But I thought I was putting 13 because I put the 13 stick in to mean me.
It's 12 because Carly's 11, not 10.
I know, but when I assigned myself the number 13, I thought Allie was coming back. So we did have 12. Whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so is everybody with me on how to do this? We're going to do one more where I'm going to model, and then you're on your own. Are you ready? The way I'm doing this is exactly how you should be doing this, how you should be thinking in your head. I am giving you the tools for how to make sure that you are learning this and remembering it. Now, you may not do it exactly the same way, but you need to take my modeling and say, okay, that works. That gives the right answer. That goes through all the steps. So I'm going to try to do the same thing. Okay, B, 87 times 6. Step 1, draw a large rectangle. Make sure you give yourself room on the left side, the top, and the bottom. You don't really need room on the right, but don't make it go over into the other square because that could just be confusing and then it gives you less space in the next square. There's step 1. Step 2. I think I did it in a different order, so let's go with the order that you have. Step 2, write the smaller factor on the short left side. My smaller factor is 6. Remember, am I writing the smallest digit on this side? No, the smaller factor, because the smallest digit means I have to look at 8, 7, and 6 and figure out which one's the smallest. 6 is the smallest, but over here. Would that have worked? Because the smallest digit is 3. But that's not what I do. I pick the smaller factor. I'm not worried about digits. I'm only worried about digits when we're rounding and things like that. Okay, step 3. Split the box into 2 pieces. The larger side on the left, the smaller side on the right. But make sure I still have enough room to write my multiplication problems. Step 4. Decompose the larger factor into its expanded form. 87 in expanded form is 80 plus 7. So now I write the 10s, which is 80 above the larger part of my box. I write the 1s, above, which is 7 above the smaller side of my box, and then I put a plus sign above the split. Now step 5, multiply the tens. That means I take my smaller factor on the left, 6, and I multiply it by my tens, which is 80. Using basic facts and patterns, the basic fact is 6 times 8. 6 times 8 equals 48. There is 1 0 at the end of my factors, so I'm going to put 1 0 at the end of my product, which means my partial product for the tens is 480. Is that my final answer, class?
No.
No. Step 6. Multiply the ones. So I take my smaller factor 6 on the left, and I multiply it by my ones, which is the number on top of the smaller side. So I have 6 times 7. 6 times 7 is a basic fact. It equals 42. So now I know my product for the ones is 42. Am I done yet, class? No, these are my partial products. Step 7 is to add the partial products together. So I'm adding my product for the tens, 480, to my product for the ones, 42. Am I going to do this addition in the box? No. So I'm going back to my separate sheet of paper. I'm going to skip one line and I'm going to do B. I'm going to make sure to write my letter or my number for the problem so that when my teacher goes to check, she can find it easily. So on my separate sheet of paper, I've got my number or letter, and then I'm going to add 480 plus 42. I made sure to line up my ones with my ones, my tens with my tens, and then I didn't need to line up my hundreds because I don't have 100 in both numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to add. I'm going to start with my ones. 0 plus 2 is 2. Now my tens, 8 plus 4 is 12. So see, sometimes you will need to regroup. So I put the 2 in the tens place, I regroup the 1 to the hundreds place. Now I add my hundreds. 4 plus nothing is 4, plus our regrouped 1 is 5, which means that 87 times 6 is 522. Does everybody feel good about it? Is everybody ready to do the next 10 on your own? Okay, you have until 9:30, which is, or until the timer goes off, or the alarm for reading goes off at 9:25. You have until 9:25 to complete the next 10. If you finish them, make sure, if you finish them in like 5 minutes, I'm going to know that you didn't do the steps. You need to read. You have like 40 minutes to do this. Kingston, I'm speaking, so you should not be drawing. You should not be working. If you are working right now instead of listening to me speak, you are not listening. You are technically cheating because you are giving yourself more time than everybody else gets. Do you understand that? When you work ahead, then you are technically cheating because you're giving yourself more time than anybody else gets. And is that fair? Cheating is something where you do something that is not fair. That is why it is so wrong, because it's not fair. Because you get more opportunity than everybody else does, not because it was given to you for good reason, but because you decided to take it. Do not work ahead, listen to the tips, listen to the directions. Make sure that you are going through step by step. Read the step, do the step. Read the next step, do the next step. And so on until you finish the whole problem. Be neat. Do not write as fast as possible so that you can get done. Follow the steps. Use this as a time to study by practicing. Practicing these processes is a way of studying. I am giving you a whole math class to study right now. So use it wisely. If you just rush through and you don't follow the steps and you just do whatever you want to do, You are not using this time wisely. You are not using this time to study. Okay, any questions? If you finish, turn it into the math tray. You may not turn, I will set an alarm. When the alarm goes off, that means you may turn it in. Before that, you may not turn it in. You may not get anything else out. So you have 20 minutes that you are not allowed to turn it in. You are not allowed to do anything else other than this math for 20 minutes. So if it takes you less than 20 minutes, that means you need to go back and starting with C, you need to look at everything you wrote. You need to follow the process, the steps again in your head and point to it. Did I follow step 1? Oh, step 1 is this. There's my box. Step 2 is this. There's where I did it. Step 3 is this. There's where I did it. Step 4 is this. There's where I did it. Step 6 is this. There's where I did it. Step 7 is this. There's where I did it. Do you understand? Okay, any questions? Victoria.
Okay, so now we're supposed to write the area model on a separate sheet of paper.
No, you do exactly what we did here. You do the exact same thing that I did in these first 2 model problems. Model goes here with everything else. Addition goes here. Don't forget about regrouping. Okay, any more questions? Yes, Erin.
If we do the area models on a separate sheet of paper too, so if this is too pushed up for you to see, you can see it on this paper too.
I would prefer you just adjust your handwriting where it fits because you've got to get to the point where you can write smaller. So it's more to the point where you have to adjust your handwriting so that this fits here so that you only have to do this over here. Do you understand? Do you guys understand what I mean by that? You have to adjust your handwriting. If you are not adjusting your handwriting, you're just writing it. Mason, are you cheating right now and giving yourself more time than everybody else gets? Put your pencil down. You need to adjust your handwriting so that it fits neatly. If you just say, oh, whatever, I'll just do what she says and put it here, but I'm not adjusting my handwriting. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it back to you. You're going to have to redo it, but you're going to get late points. And late points for having to redo it is not the same as late points for forgetting. It's like minus 20 points a day because you're wasting my time at that point, not just yours. And my time is worth a lot, and I don't have a lot of it. So you're going to lose a lot more points so that hopefully it'll make you realize, do not waste my time. Okay, go ahead. You cannot turn it in for 20 minutes. Once 20 minutes is up, if you are finished, then you may finish morning work or read. Do not just sit there and stare if there's still time left. Use it wisely, use it to check. Everybody should be reading their steps step by step. Don't go fast, be neat. I can already see that some people are going way faster than what we did here by the quality of their rectangles. Carla, where are you? Okay, you need to be in your chair. Sorry. Working.